Welcome to a new edition of Nanook Insider. I'm Chris Brooks and joined by my special guest, Dr. Gary Gray, the athletic director here for the Alaska Nanooks. Gary, you've been here for about 4.5 months, so you've gotten your impressions of all the teams. I mean, what do you think of Fairbanks and this athletic department?
I have. That's about right, Chris. I'm really impressed. It's a wonderful community. It's a great university, and I continue to learn more and more about it every day, the academic programs and all of the innovative research we do and things like that. But most of all, I've just been just so impressed with the people here, the people in the community, the people at the university, the people in our program. But you know, a place is its people, and a program is the people, really, or are the people. And so I've really been impressed with the dedication and the hard work of the folks in our department. Now, as far as the program goes, again, I'm just really excited. We've got some great student athletes, very dedicated in their sport, very dedicated to graduate with some really strong degrees, and they work hard day in and day out. So I just continue to be amazed and impressed, and I know I'm very fortunate to be here and part of the program.
We're going to talk about a couple teams that may be a little bit of a surprise to a couple of their respective conferences. Men's basketball picked tied for 8th. Right now they're in the top part of the echelon of the GNAC. And then you have the hockey team. They had won 6 straight before last weekend. They're in the hunt for a first-round bye as it pertains to the CCHA playoffs. When you talk about watching those two teams play, no one really gave them much faith in them, and they've really turned things around this year, and they're really a fun environment to be at this year.
Sure. Well, with all due respect to coaches, so much for those coaches polls, right? Those preseason coaches poll. I like to cite the few years back when I was involved with soccer in the GNAC men's soccer, the team to pick to finish first by the coaches finished last. And you know, you can give examples of things like that happening. And the coaches polls, you know, are done with, you know, limited information. I mean, you don't know a lot, maybe a lot about some of the transfers. Some you do if you're recruiting them, you know, from another school or freshmen or whatever. But you know, I think they're picked largely based upon last year's results and things. So let's start with men's basketball. First of all, I know Coach Durham, and he's a great coach, and I knew he was going to get the team rolling this year. He's done really well. It's been fun to watch that team improve from game to game. Very structured, very disciplined, very well organized, and on a given night you just have to execute. Obviously the coach can't go out there and make that ball go in all the time, or any of the time, but so Coach Durham really has the men's basketball team on the go, and this is in a very competitive conference. There's not a sport in the GNAC that's weak from top to bottom. So great competition, and Coach Durham's really doing a great job. Hockey, Coach Ferguson, same thing. Really structured, really well organized. We've got some really good freshmen, obviously, and that may be the surprise to some of the people who had picked us, you know, where they did in the preseason coaches polls. And again, freshmen are tried and untested, and you get them out there and you start seeing what they can do. But we've got some freshmen who've made an impact. And but college hockey is great. I love the speed of it. But we've got some great skaters, got some great guys good with the stick, and but again, you can see the camaraderie as the season's developed, and the lines are clicking offensively and certainly defensively too. You know, there's nothing better than going out there and scoring a shorthanded goal. And I don't know our numbers on how many times we've done that, but we've done it a bunch. And you know, so much for killing penalties. It's great when you score a goal shorthanded, but hockey team's fun to watch, and we're looking for good things out of them the rest of the season, and we're looking forward to next year very excitedly too in a new conference.
Well, we're going to continue our conversation with Dr. Gary Gray in just a couple minutes, but let's head on over to a Rinkside Report with head coach Dallas Ferguson and a couple of his Nanook hockey players.
The Nanooks are back home this week and have a big 2-game series ahead as they take on Ohio State this Friday and Saturday at the Carlson Center.
You got to win hockey games. I mean, that's the easy part to give the analogy, but you know, it's about, you know, that time of year. It's about doing all the little things. It's about, you know, being prepared to play every night, and you know, I think that's basically what it is. I think you start to now you're starting to ramp up for playoffs, so energy starts to get a little bit more focused in on that. I think that we've got 6 opportunities here to get some points and get up there as high as we possibly can. And but it's it's the way we do things. It's a game by game type of thing, and let's focus in on the right things, not focus in on the standings or anything else.
We're 6-2 in our last 8, so I mean that's not a bad start to the second half. So I mean we're going to lose hockey games, we're just going to rebound the right way and come back next series. And they're right there in the standings with us, so this weekend is probably the biggest series of the year so far. So I mean we got to come out prepared and get the 6 points and move ahead of them. It's just they're a talented group. We got to get pucks in deep on their defense, forecheck pretty hard, and I mean just get a lot of pucks to the net, get a couple rebound goals, and win the series.
The team's playing well in front of me. They're making it easy for me to do my job, and I'm getting a lot of bounces right now. So things are just going well. Just got to move past it. We're focusing on Ohio State now. Go over video, work on some of the things that went wrong over the weekend, and then forget about it.
We've got to minimize those type of unforced errors, if you will, this weekend and through the rest of the season. But again, it's focusing in on some of the good things we did and recognizing some of the things we need to improve upon, and then getting ready to face Ohio State, because like I say, there's so many distractions that can come into these guys' heads and into your game that if you focus in on the wrong things, it's not going to help you play your best this weekend. And they're a point ahead of us. I think they got a couple games in hand, so they're coming up into our building. They've been playing some really good hockey, so and I think we've been playing some good hockey too. And I think that's going to be a real competitive series. But yeah, there's no secret. I think probably what'll happen is next weekend we'll say that that's a really big series, and the weekend after, the last home weekend, it's just a huge series. So they're all big, and that's the beauty of college hockey, is that you don't play that many games, so it's hard to make them up. So you got to take advantage of when you have them. And again, Friday, Saturday, we're at home against Ohio State, a team that we're behind in the standings, and we've got to come out and be ready to compete and be ready to work and execute our game plan as a team.
Welcome back. We're here with Dr. Gary Gray, Director of Athletics for the Alaska Nanooks. And Dr. Gray, we spoke on a couple of sports before the break, and now, talk about some of the new sports. You've never dealt really with skiing and rifle before, but that's a couple of our stronger sports that we have here as well.
They are. Let's start with ski. First of all, I must say I was really impressed with the facility we have out at Birch Hill that we're able to use. I really had no idea it was such a high quality facility, and it's great. We have a very, very hard-working ski team. To watch them compete, it's great to see all the energy, and they do the loops and pass and sprint to the finish. And I like the mass start, things like that. So you're right, it's a sport I've done for many years, but not a sport I've ever competed in, certainly, or even had in an athletic program. But it's really fun to watch the ski program, and they're definitely an up-and-coming team. We've got some great results this year and some great promise for next year. Rifle, kind of the total opposite in terms of energy expenditure. Talk about a high-endurance sport to a kind of a low-endurance sport in a different way. But I guess what I'm impressed with the rifle team, and I've gone to our home rifle events, and that is, it's highly technical, obviously, and to watch the scoring and everything, but it's enduring in a different sense. It's endurance. It's an endurance sport from standing. In many cases, motionless, obviously motionless, and to see how they get their shots in within a given time frame, which over a period of the competition is really quite long. And so, and again, you're right, sport I didn't really know anything about other than maybe what I see in the Olympics or something, but to watch them, and take their rest breaks and kind of unzip the gear they wear, the clothing they wear that keeps their back arched and rigid and motionless, and really quite an event. But as I said, kind of highly technical, highly tactical, I guess. and a national caliber rifle team. So it's fun to watch them compete too. And you know what? We've competed against the best. I know we had number 1 in here, we had number 2 in here, we went to number 3, we had 4 in here. And so I like Coach Jordan's strategy of, you're going to be the best, you got to beat the best, you got to compete against the best. So really exciting to watch.
So you've gotten a chance to really see all the teams, get to know all the coaches, the staff, and getting in with the university. Where do you see going forward with our department? Right now we're at 10 sports, maybe more sports down the road, or growth as far as facilities go? I mean,
sure.
What's the direction you want to take the Alaska Nanooks?
Sure. Well, that's a great question, Chris. And let's kind of break that down. First of all, our program, we have 10 sports right now, and that's the NCAA minimum for Division II. And it is fun to add sports. When I was at my previous institution, I was involved with the addition of 10 sports over many years. So it's fun to do that, and it's fun to do it because now you're developing opportunities for student athletes that didn't exist previously in any given sport. However, the caution that has to be done is you want to do that only if you do it in such a way that you don't negatively impact your current sports, particularly financially. You don't take a certain amount of money and or a pie and cut the pie with smaller pieces. So to add a sport, you have to add revenue. You have to generate the revenue. Otherwise, you potentially hurt the current sport. So we will do some feasibility studies and look at kind of the what ifs. What would a schedule look like? What would a budget look like? Scholarships and all of that. And ultimately, that comes down to the cost. And as we analyze what that cost would be, we have to be fair to analyze what the potential revenue would be for that from any and all sources. So I like doing that. We'll do that. And there's no guarantee that leads to any new sports, but it's an exercise that's good. And if the time is right and the situation presents itself financially, then we would have the data handy to do that. Facilities, we have a facilities committee in athletics and recreation that's looking at both the short-term and longer-term facility needs of the program. And you develop your program first, and then you have facilities that help you implement that program. The Patty Center turns 50 years old this year and has some deferred maintenance needs and some other programmatic or some other renovations that could be done, again, money permitting, that would help strengthen the program or facilitate the way we do operate our program. So that committee is well underway. I anticipate that report will hopefully at least lead to a more detailed, data-driven consultant report, and then a building plan, again, generating the revenue to or locating sources of revenue to do that in the future. But we do have some important short-term facility needs, and down the road, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, we're definitely going to have some longer-term facility needs. So that's really exciting to look at kind of some of the potential we have with our facilities.
Well, a lot going on here with the Alaska Nanooks, and Dr. Gary Gray doing some great things so far, and I'd like to thank you for being on Nanook Insider this week.
Thanks, Chris.
Now let's take a look at what's to come this weekend in the world of Nanook athletics. And remember, new episodes of Nanook Insider every Wednesday right here on AlaskaNanooks.com.